Y'all get to know play. If y'all want a sponsor, they put it on.
Look, man, how you know I ain't made the damn water? How you know that ain't my brand? Look.
Oh, well.
Purified water. Right under it say K-Dub. You see that right now?
Welcome to National Sports Chat. It's been a minute since me and Big Fella been in the same room on a podcast. And so we want to bring a series of, basketball scenarios and things that are going on. We want to hear y'all input. So we're going to allow him to introduce himself again, even though most of y'all probably already know who he is.
To the National Sports Chats audience, my name is Kenny Williams. Played for the Indiana Pacers for 6 years. Played in Europe for about 16 years. Been a basketball agent for about 9.5 years. And that's where I'm at now. Just continuing to create avenues for players to have an opportunity to get to the next level, the highest level being the NBA. But, it's nothing wrong with going overseas playing and then have an opportunity to come back and play. So that's where we're at right now, and that's kind of what I do now, create avenues for players to get to the next level.
Yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about what's been going on in the basketball world?
Wow, I just think that it's just continuing to evolve, even so far as going back to, you remember when you used to step on the right leg with the left hand. Now the game has evolved where you're stepping on the right leg and landing with the right hand. Mm-hmm. So the game is continuing to evolve, and I think that with what you saw this summer with all of the trades and now, players being open to bringing another 1 or 2 or 3 superstars on their team, that's just where the game is headed now. I don't think guys are really too concerned anymore about scoring 40 points a game. Now it's more or less about winning the ring. Because now, like, the minimum players making now is 10, 15, 20 million. And so the money is basically there. Now,
yeah, but would you leave?
Here we go. What's going on?
Would you leave $50 million on the table? I know it may not mean a lot to some of the players because they already got it, they got endorsement. But would you leave that on the table?
Depends on my situation. If I was one of the top players like a Durant or like an AD that we were discussing earlier, he had been there for a while, and then I guess he felt like he couldn't, make it happen with the crew that he had. And like I said, it's evolved now. Now players are not worried about scoring 40 points no more. Now they want the ring. So I guess it kind of depends on where you are salary-wise, where you are. If you're a top player like AD, I believe he can do it. To us, it is a lot of money. I mean, if you talk about $20,000 is a lot of money, today. But like I said with him, he has a clean image. He has a bunch of endorsement deals. So I guess it kind of sort of depends on what your contract is now, who you are. You have to take a good look at who you are and what you are making and people that's, all these endorsements that you have. So I think if I was in his shoes, yeah.
Hey, you already know what I think. I ain't leaving nothing on the table.
I think, yeah, but how are you going to feel during the season? Hold on. How are you going to feel during the season when you can't compete with a lot of the other teams? You going to be happy with that too? Man. Losing almost every other game, not having a chance to go to the playoffs?
I'm going to be happy with that additional $50 million, smiling.
No, you wouldn't.
Rings?
No.
Or ching.
People say all the time, people used to tell me, I wouldn't mind sitting on the end of the bench, man, without playing. No, you wouldn't. If you've been playing basketball all your life, and not just basketball, even though we're talking about basketball, but if you've been doing something all your life, and then all of a sudden you have to go and sit on the bench, that's not going to be a comfortable situation.
I feel that, right? But to leave $50 million on the table, and then I wonder what Antoine Walker thought at one point when he left a little bit of money on the table.
But how long ago was that?
it don't matter.
It does matter. I mean, like I said, the basketball game is evolving, man.
People still becoming broke.
Yeah.
It hasn't evolved far as mentally because they still going broke.
But when you get 45, you get your pension for life. So you just got to reach the 45. So if you aren't able to maintain that type of money, $50-60 million up until you get 45 to your retirement, then there's something wrong with you.
Man, look, I'm gonna explain why. I got people to feed, homie. I got people to feed, family. So therefore, I'm gonna take one for the team. You know how like I used to date and then it was somebody with another person and they like, hey man, talk to this person, right? And he like, nah, I'm just not interested. I don't want to talk to her. Come on, bro, you gotta take one for the team. I'm taking one for the team. I would risk not ever getting a ring for $50 million additional to have in my pocket when I'm done playing. So no, I would not go for the ring. I mean, the ring is cool, but are the owners, are they taking a pay cut?
Nah, but they making way more though. You can't compare that.
But they not.
So let me ask you a question. If you got $100 million, if you got I'm not even gonna say $100 million. If you got a $60 million contract, you still wouldn't make that move to make your team better, to be a contender, so that you wouldn't have to be going out of the playoffs early. You fine with just sitting home. If you're real passionate about it, you fine with sitting home saying, okay, well, I'll keep my extra $50 million. If you're already making $70 million, then your shoe deal, you got another. I'm not even gonna go to the max. Your shoe deal is $10 million. Okay, endorsements.
Reflecting back on Antoine Walker,
that's long.
Yes, he had a ring. It ain't stop him from being broke. It ain't stop him from making that book. Okay, so therefore, I am taking the bread.
He's 40. He's for sure 45 now, so he's able to retire early. So he'll be straight.
I understand that. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But I bet every dollar that they offered him that he did not accept, he was mad that he didn't accept it, because that ring only got him so far. The ring doesn't mean that you're not going to be broke. The ring just solidifies that you just one of the NBA people that had a ring.
But when you get 45, you're straight.
Man,
that's all I'm telling you.
Some people don't live.
You have to know kind of sort of the end. You have to be in the league. He's been in the league for a long time. 13, 14 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get 45, you're straight. You just got to make it to 45. Not just him, you know what I mean? Because I know him, you know what I mean? It's not like we have conversations every day or I pick up the phone and call him, but, you know, once you get 45, I mean, I think he's learned from that. You know, when you're in the NBA, it's very, you have a lot of tempting things to put you in that situation. So I think he's learned, because I've seen a lot of interviews that he did after that. You know, he owned up to it, that he made some mistakes, and that's the first thing you have to do is own up to whatever it is and just move on from there. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing he can do about that now, but just learn from it. And then, you know, whether he take early retirement at 45 or 50, you know, he'll be good for the rest of his life. But, you know, life is a process. You know, it's about growth, and, you know, you can talk about money and so on and so forth, but I think, you know, the older you get, the better decisions you make.
Right.
Because, you know, you learn from, you know, those mistakes. Some do and some don't, but I think he did, because I've seen some things that he's done, some interviews that he did, and it genuinely looks like you understand his mistakes, and he just, you know, moving past it and going on to do something else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So we already know that as an NBA player, right, a lot of responsibilities comes with that, right?
Right.
So I'm pretty sure you had your fair share of what I consider groupies.
Yeah.
Right? So for the young players that's coming up, what advice would you give them? Because I know a lot of times, man, when we young, one of the things that we think with is our private part. You know what I'm saying? We allow that. We allow a pretty face to cause lifetime of pain. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people try to use you as their lotto ticket. You know what I'm saying? But you can't look past a pretty face. She's thick, and ain't nothing real nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Because everything that they consider real is fake. So, what are some of the advice and tips that you would give to them to not lust, beautiful women that really probably have bad intentions?
I mean, that's gonna come with time. After the first 1 or 2 years, you'll kind of sort of get tired of it, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
After the first 1 or 2 years, it's exciting for the first 1 or 2 years. But like when you look at a lot of the interviews with KD and Steph and all of them, you see even the reporters try to bait them into. So we ain't even talking about that subject you're talking about. But if you just look at those two and understanding that, even the reporters is trying to bait them into saying something, and, they'll tell you, you're not going to get me with that one. Or, they thinking a lot more. So I think the younger players should look at people like a KD or a Steph, and the temptation is going to be there, but you have to try to understand what's more important for you, because like you said, now it's like, you have people that's literally out here trying to set you up so that they can get a payday. Mm-hmm. So I just say to a young player, pay more attention to, not just the basketball, but pay attention to, because social media now, man, is taking over the world. So it's not really nowhere you can go without, somebody picking up a phone, even if you get in, not even a heated argument or something like that. Mm-hmm. If it's anything, if you drop an ice cream and somebody know you playing in the league, they're going to take a picture, he dropped the ice cream. Mm-hmm. Then they'll change it and say, he was drinking too much, that's why he dropped the ice cream.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So yeah. I think for the younger generation, they just have to pay attention to, it's hard because when you're playing in the NBA, it's exciting. You have the fans and what you're talking about. You have a lot of women running behind you. They don't care if you're married or you're not. So you just have to, you have to be very careful and surround yourself with someone maybe from your family or maybe a close friend. Hire them to be next to you to make sure that you don't get jammed up, or just somebody from childhood, somebody for a long time. Hey, put them on, get them a job, let that be their job. Mm-hmm. It's just to make sure that you kind of watch my back. Because when I first went to the NBA, I took someone with me. Mm-hmm. And he was with me all the way up until I went overseas and came back. He was right there, so I had like 2 people with me that knew me before I made it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they would always make sure I was getting to practice. If maybe I was oversleeping or something, they made sure I got there. They made sure that when we went somewhere, we were they watched what I wasn't maybe paying attention to.
Pretty much like a hand slap.
Yeah. So they let me know, hey, look, we need it. You know what I mean? So you need some of those real ones around you, not always the ones that want to party with you. And then some of those be the main ones that's leaking the information.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you think that they really riding for you, but they just riding with you, and just to, because now, like I said, with the social media, they're paying you to get this type of information. Mm-hmm. So people in your circle, like Chris Brown is not a basketball player, but you see some of the things that happen to him and somebody in his camp, and even he said, well, I got to change some things in my camp because, like I said, sometimes people sitting right next to you is the ones that's really leaking the information. So I think, just back to the question that you asked, with the younger generation, try to pay attention not to the basketball or the all the things you can get now because you're wealthy, but you got to really pay attention to how people look at all the things with DeMarcus Cousins. Mm-hmm. Every little thing you do now is going to be on somebody's phone or on somebody's. So you just got to surround yourself with a couple of people that's going to make sure, hire them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You could take them out of their particular situation. Hire, like, look with LeBron. Most of his, I'm not really a big LeBron fan, but I love what he does at his size. Mm-hmm. But most of the people you have around him is people that play basketball with him. Mm-hmm. And so their job now, they're getting paid with him, but they also putting in the work and making sure he's safe and making sure, that he's not in those situations. I think that's why, he's able to keep a level head because the team that he has around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that brings up, a point that I'm not gonna talk about on here, but I have a podcast that I'm getting ready to do. The reason why I feel like athletes really shouldn't date till they're done playing. I'm serious, because if you look at a situation like let's say Kevin Garnett, right? His wife won a divorce. All of a sudden, after he retires, she can't live that life that she used to. Go at her leisure, and that's mainly what it is. You know what I'm saying? So she enjoyed the lifestyle. She never really it come off to me that she never really enjoyed him, and she loved the benefits that came with it. You know what I'm saying? Because look, man, I got a reference from the streets to basketball. So you remember when they always said, "Would you do this for $1 million? Would you do this for $1 million?" Look. The scenario hasn't changed, as far as with the answer they gave you. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Would you be with a person that you have no interest in for $1 million? I know a lot of y'all lying, you know what I'm saying? But I know the answer is yes. If that creates the security that you want, a lot of people will be with a person that they otherwise wouldn't be with, you know what I'm saying, for the money, the luxury, what comes with it. Because I know, like Floyd Mayweather, he's only 4'1", but the money attracts people and make him look like he's 6'10".
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, money is like is when a person has money, it becomes tricky. So you have to really take time to get to know a person, and you don't have that time when you're actually working out all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like. Y'all, you going to the gym. Sometimes you go to parties. Well, a lot of y'all go to parties. That's how I end up broke, But you have to really sit there and take the time, to get to know that person, because you don't know if they pilling you, if they setting their own accounts up, taking money from you. You thinking that it's your accountant, your personal accountant, financial advisor, and it's really her.
Right.
They give she in cahoots giving the. You know what I'm saying? The authorization, and then sometimes, in most cases, it's the female. So that's why I'm saying it, because I'm not misogynist or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just that more times than not, this is the scenario. It's it's the woman who wants to get the divorce, like Kenny Smith, his situation.
Lorenzo Wright is one of the ones. You remember Lorenzo Wright? Well, his wife actually ended up, I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't really know that much about it. If you ever heard of Lorenzo Wright, he's a real good player in the league. And after so many years, they found out that it was actually his wife that actually had him killed. I don't know if you ever heard that story before, but I'll put you on that story. But, and it, like I said, sometimes it's the closest ones to you. So I think I use my own situation. When I first went in the league, I was young, I was 18, and I felt like, the person that I was with, I knew it before. So I felt like, okay, that would be the ideal person before I got here that would work out. But nah, it ended up being the worst. So I can use my own situation with that. And so that helped me grow. And that's why I said, I had my own experience with that. So, you just got to understand that, life is about growth. And like I said, when you're in the mix, these young kids just really got to pay attention, man, to how they moving. Because look at some of the examples. Just look at LeBron James and try to move the way he moved, or Curry or Durant. You didn't hear anything about, any females maybe setting. They just, you have to be extra cautious. Not even females. Just friends, guy friends. They'll set you up. So it's not even about women. It's friends will do the same. Right, and I had a friend who actually played for the Seahawks, and I'm not. I ain't gonna say friends because I don't want to use that word loosely. Right. So I have an associate that from the Seahawks that I talk to from time to time, and he was letting me know that he don't even like taking pictures with people, because sometimes what they'll do, they'll take that photo and say, oh, this is his mistress. Right. This is the person that he's with. Oh, he's cheating. He's doing this. And it's like all that from a photo. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he just stands clear. You know, y'all traumatized that man. I'm telling you.
Right.
But it's just like one of those situations, man, that you really can't be who you are only because your stature, and then you can't say it's the person, because going back to Antoine Walker, man, shout out to you. Sorry, man, I don't mean to keep.
I'm never part of that.
Look, I don't mean to keep bringing you up, but you just fit so many scenarios, man. But like, look at Antoine Walker. The man is a legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, potentially, if he hadn't in the Hall of Fame already, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. You know, the shimmy and all that stuff. It's like, in his prime, he was just like the guy. But then once he got broke, then it's like, man, who is this guy? Now he's the laughing stock. You know, just like they laughing at Delonte West right now. He's a laughing stock. You know what I'm saying? So it's really not the person. It's the money and the benefit and what that person can do for you. So when life is that way, it's hard to be who to trust everybody just, you know, to get them the benefit of the doubt that they not that type of person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it traumatized me for speaking on it. So I can just imagine what they going through.
I know, but you just gotta, like I said, for the younger guys, I know that, and that's part of the reason why, you know, I'm starting to do a lot more podcasts, because I was one of those young players that came into the NBA at 18. Mm-hmm. You know, Sean Kemp, good friend of mine, we were out in junior college All-Americans, myself, Sean Kemp, Larry Johnson, Carl Herrera. So, you know, I remember when we first went in the league, I was 18. Mm. So I didn't really understand or know what it was, you know what I mean, what came with being in the NBA. I was just thinking, you know, it's just like being in college. But like, and that was at that time. I was one of the first to come into the NBA at 18. Mm-hmm. You know, I come from a real high graduating class. You're talking about Billy Owens, you're talking about Walt Williams, you're talking about Mahmoud, Christian Laettner, Gerard Mustaf, Donald Hodge, so Lee Mayberry, Todd Day, you know, so I come out of a big field. Our graduating class was probably one of the strongest, and we all was young, but that was a different time. Like now, it's like times 10. You know what I mean? Because of the social media, the likes and the views and all this type of stuff, world style, you know, all this type of stuff now is out there because they're making money from it. So that's why my advice, if you're young, not even if you're young, you know, when you're coming into the league, just try to surround yourself with somebody maybe you grew up with that's kind of on the straight and narrow. Give him a job just to, instead of him working over there at Chrysler or wherever, give him a job to be next to you to make sure that, you know, to be that little bird on your shoulder per se.
Right.
You know, just to be around you and like I said, LeBron has a team like that around him. So I think that works. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about who this person really is and so on and so forth. You know who he is from, you know, childhood. Like when you and Dame was having your guys' podcast, I was laughing because you knew Damian Lillard. When y'all grew up in California, it was so funny to see y'all on a podcast and you actually have a going back and forth with him. And he was like, nah, man, you know, it was just funny to see that.
Yeah.
Because, you know him.
Right.
You know, and he know you.
Right.
So, and then he's one of the most talented players in the NBA, and seems like you carry yourself on a straight and narrow. Mm-hmm. And so that relationship y'all have. So to me, like I said, my advice would be just to, you know, hire some people that you went to school with that know you, or relatives. You know, hire them, give them a job to come stay here with me, pay them a decent salary, and, you know, keep those people around you. I think that's key to not getting yourself in a situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So y'all got some great insight. I mean, we can't give y'all everything because, you know, there's other things that we're gonna be working on that you guys should be looking forward to hearing in the near future. So I just want to switch gears just a little bit. So this has been on my mind. We supposed to talk about this, you know, for a while now.
He ain't told me nothing. He just bringing it on.
Look, no. This is something that's pretty much been on my mind. Right.
Thank you for saying that. Not me. Go ahead.
Parents being dream killers. And the reason why I say that is because Damian Lillard, right, ended up being one of the guys that made it. But he wasn't the best player, right? At least at that time. So you had a lot of, now he's better than all of them or whatever, except for me. But
he could kill you for it.
But when you look at it, right, a lot of that has not only to do with the environment, right, but it has to do with some parents who don't want to be a part of their kids' games, who, really don't even take the time to sign them up. What do you think about parents who show no belief in their child, or who's not part of what it is that they're trying to do in the sports world?
Well, it's pretty tough it depends on how young you're talking. What age group you're talking?
I'm mainly talking about from maybe middle school up into high school.
Well, I think today it's a little bit different because most of the parents today are a lot younger than what my parents was. Like, for instance, I'll use my situation. My parents were a lot older. They never forced me to go and play, or I fell in love with the game, and I just continued on from there. Today, they are more in their kids' lives because they're pushing them to the NBA or the NFL or whichever professional sport that it may be, because they know it's a lucrative business and they are closer to the age of their kids. And so I think it's a little bit different today because, I think the parents can see what type of ability that the kid have at a very early age because they're pretty much still young today. It's not like before where our parents was, I wasn't really close in age to my parent, but today, because, over the generations, the kids, the parents are a little bit closer to the kid. Like, I listen to a little trap music, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a little older, but I'm more closer to the kids today now. And so that's why I said I think most of the parents can see that talent that their kids have because they are still fairly young. They still play. I still play. You know what I mean? So it would be fairly easy today. But for the parents that don't or that can't see the talent or have the time to invest in the kid, it's probably because they're working so hard. So they don't really, they're gone from 8 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon, so they're not thinking about any practice or anything like that. That's for those parents that's not. But I think for the most part, most of the parents they can see talent that their kid have. And I think they do. I think they overdo it though, because they have their kids lifting weights already at 12. You got to let your body grow a little bit. I think some of that stuff stunts your growth. I think some of the parents giving them creatine. You should do calisthenics. I feel like is the only thing that they should kind of do with their child instead of putting a lot of weights on them and so on and so forth. But I think this generation of parents is really aware of how good their kid is because you have people that's you got social media now. So you got people at the games, they're recording the games at what they're doing, and the next thing you know, it's online, it's going viral. When you look at one kid I just seen, I think not too long ago, I think he's not even from America, I think he may be from Africa. They call him the best dunker in high school. He's only like 16.
Oh yeah, he was just I was just recording him.
Exactly.
He was at the AEBL.
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? So even if those parents that's working hard all day and don't have the time to do that, that's when people step in sometimes and get him viral. And then once he get viral, then the parents turn around and say, wait a minute, he's dead. So I think for those parents that's working a lot, that don't have the time to put in it, they notice it because there are people that's recording these things. And when they go viral, I think that's, the parent is able to come back and notice, well, hey, I think I got something here. For those ones that don't spend all day training them in the gym. But then you have some parents that's training them in the gym that's not training them the right way. They only training them to think, you, me. Get 40 points a game, get 40 points a game. That's the wrong way of teaching them. You got to teach them to be a team player. So I think a lot of parents are in their children's lives that's in sports. And for the ones that's not, even if they're not, somehow their child will get seen if they're good enough, because everybody have phones, everybody is in the gyms, and all it takes is one dunk.
Mm-hmm.
One dunk or a game-winning three to put you out there. So I think it's a little better today than what it was, because the parents are like your daughter. She's gonna be, by the time she get 14, 15, 16, you're still fairly young, so you're still gonna be able to get out there and be more conscious of how she's moving in life, because you're still fairly young. So you're gonna be more attentive or more aware of stuff, because you know how it is out here. You still young. So by the time she get 14, 15, you're gonna still be able to get out there and play basketball with her.
Right.
You're gonna still be able to take her from 10 until 14 or 15 or 16, because you're young.
So you don't feel like they're the dream killers. They just, it's by circumstances that they're not able to partake in what's going on, as far as activity wise. And then being that they're so close in age now, that makes them already partake in what they're doing, and more active.
Yes, because the parents are still playing. The parents are still playing their self.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They still playing their self.
Mm-hmm.
And so the child is actually going to watch his father play, or to watch his mom play if she was into sports. So they're able to watch what you're doing. And so I think, like you said, we just need to either put more time, but some parents maybe don't have a car to take them to practice. They have to take a couple of buses to get to work and so on and so forth. Maybe the money is kind of tight, maybe coming from a single parent home. It's always better with two parents, because you're able to make ends meet, but when you're a single parent, you're more focused on bringing food in the house, or putting a roof over their head, or maybe making sure they get their schoolwork, not necessarily worrying about basketball, because they're putting their effort and energy into what they need right now. They can't wait to down the road, 5 years down the road. They can't wait for that to put no piece of chicken in the oven. They got to take care of what they can take care of right now. So I think it's the reason that a lot of parents, maybe with kids that's gifted, they just don't see it, because that's how it also happened with me. I use myself for an example. My dad, they started telling my dad, listen, you need to start going out to the high school, man. Your son, man, he's really, doing this thing. So my dad was like, everybody, he used to work for the Norfolk Naval Shipyard supervisor, like with the Army ships that come in. He used to work down there. So like all the guys down there was talking about it, like, man, you need to go see your son, man. Because my dad was working. By the time he got off, the games was at like 6 o'clock. So by the time he got off from work, but when he started to hear that, all over the ship, man, you need to go, because he's, I'm telling you, he's not. So he started going. And then once he came and saw for himself, what everybody was talking about, he made a conscious effort to get off work now, like, 30 or 40 minutes before, so he can catch the game. And so today it's a lot easier, because the parents is a lot more younger and still playing sports their own self. And like I said, your daughter, I use your daughter. I try to use my situation and your situation, because I've seen your daughter, how you play with her in the gym. When she came to the camp, she was already eager to get, she was running faster than some of the kids that was in the camp, and she was a lot younger. And you was like, man, you was trying to chase her down. You was out of breath sometimes. You were like, man, she don't stay still. Yeah, and so think, in another 5 years, you still gonna be just as young as you are now, more or less.
But you ain't playing, baby. You're not playing.
So so it's like, you'll be surprised what you have love for basketball. You'll be surprised. You looking at her now, she's a very smart little girl. I saw how you was reading the cards off to her, and she knows certain stuff. But you'll be surprised maybe when she get 12, 13, because you have the passion for basketball and you played yourself. Don't be surprised that she come home and say, Dad, I have, here's my uniform. You're like, what is that? Oh, I want to play basketball. So you never know, because you passionate.
What you want to do.
Yeah, but because
she just ain't going to be able to quit.
There you go. But because you're passionate about that, who knows what she's going to do when she get to a school where she might be able to play on the team. You might not even have to say anything. That might be just something she want to do, because she see you watching it, talking about it. You know what I mean? You're around basketball players, not just basketball players, but you You know what I mean? She see those things. You bring her with you in a lot of situations. So you don't know what she's going to remember or what you've planted in her head, that seed. She see a ball that she might just remember it at 14 and or 12 or 13 and might just start doing it naturally. So, you know, you just never know these days, man. These kids are growing up in this time and era with all this technology, and, you know, NBA is continuing to grow money-wise. You know, one day somebody going to have a $600 million contract.
Dang.
Because it's never going to stay. Think about 10 years from now.
Yeah.
The salaries continue to go up. So one day I feel like somebody's going to sign a $500 million contract.
Yeah, I asked, somebody asked this question, right? My lady, she's not into sports, but she couldn't understand why that they would pay players this much. And my thing was this. Have you ever went to the game to see an owner? You know what I'm saying? Before that player came, was they selling out arenas? You know, so the fact that those particular players are bringing out so many other players, other people, fans and stuff like that, they actually underpaid. Because as far as with the owners that's making the billions, they don't make that if these players don't bring out the fans to pay for the food, you know, the shoes, the jerseys, the I don't eat meat no more, but them hot dogs slam. But like
nachos,
nachos, everything.
They putting Taco Bells in arenas. They're putting franchises in arenas.
But say no to meat. But
don't do that. Look at him.
Yeah, look at me.
Look at that bird.
I'm the bird man.
Look at him. That's what I call him. We joke all the time.
But it's just like they bring all these people out, you know, to spend $500-600. Some people spend like $100K on tickets for floor seats, playoffs. Like they just have a multitude of things, and you know, streams of income and revenue coming in. So the players deserve to make what they're making. And I'm gonna name about 5 players.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah. And
then I'm gonna get your opinion on each one.
Let's go.
Or how they could have did in today's generation.
Okay.
I ain't gonna even say Jordan, but Jordan would have averaged probably like 52 a game, right? Cause
touch it foul there.
Yeah, like cause I used to think that Jordan was getting all the calls then. Just imagine now. But let's see. We got Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
How you feel he'll fare in today's basketball game, being that he evolved?
I think he would fit well because Patrick, you know, he could shoot from the outside. You know, I used to watch the battle between him and Rick Smits. You know, so again, Rick Smits is 7'2", 7'3". He could shoot from the outside. He could play inside. He could pass. He could dribble. That's what I'm saying, coming from Europe. So, I think he would have fitted in well because he shoots from outside pretty well. You know, Patrick shoots you know, he's a defender. He's a shot blocker. So, I don't think he would have had any problem adjusting because, you know, he was a stretch 5. Like, when he was at the top of the key, he could shoot. I think the only thing he wasn't shooting was threes, but they were long 2s. You know, so I think he would have been able to make that adjustment.
Okay. My next one is Scottie Pippen.
Wow, yeah, he would have been able to fit in today. Because, you know, he's 6'7", handle the ball, can shoot, can pass, you know, know when to pass. You know, it's not just about passing, it's when to pass. You know, on time, when you're coming off the screen, perfect for the shot. Can pass, can dribble, play defense. So, without a doubt.
My third is Muggsy Bogues.
I gotta hesitate.
He got problems.
I'm telling you, no, I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just saying, like, you got a couple of short guys, man, in the league. Now you don't have that many because, you know, the first thing they're gonna do is take them to the post. Somebody that small, deep today. But like back then, you know, the problem was when you were a point guard, you're trying to bring the ball up the floor. It was tough to bring the ball. You had to turn your back on the other end of the court. You had to back down the court. It was so funny, you know, Vern Fleming that played with me, he was out of New York. He was very crafty with the ball. He was about 6'3", 6'4". But when he started bringing the ball up full court, Muggsy was right on him. And he had to turn his back to him and actually back him down almost full court. Because when he put it down, before it even come back up to his hand, he was going the other way or spud west. So I think it would be a little bit of I think it would be an issue a little bit, you know, because of his size. I think they would automatically take him to the post today, because most of your point guards today is 6'6", 6'7", and up. So, you know.
So my fourth is
that's like me on you. You know, you trying to
guard
me,
disadvantage.
which is like
me being
impossible. It's like impossible for him to like try to guard me. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. You look at my face. The next one is Charles Barkley.
For sure.
He would be able to play in this.
He can shoot. He's very strong, very smart. You know, I played against him, so I mean, he's very strong, very smart, know when to pass, super athlete. He was about like Zion Williamson. He was very similar to him. To me, he was very similar to him. I think Barkley was even a little bit bigger, but natural. Not. I'm not talking about fat.
I was gonna say. So you looking at a Draymond and saying that. But you basing it off like Zion Williams.
Because Draymond can't really jump like that. He's not really jumping over nobody, dunking them. But Barkley was. When he come to the hole, he's not going around you. I mean, he had the skills to go around you, but if he got the chance to kind of take off, he would. You know, whereas Draymond, he'll dunk on you if he get, you know, he's not really a high flyer. You know what I mean? He's just a gifted athlete. You know, he's very strong mentally, and he plays hard all the time. So yeah, Barkley, of course.
And then my fifth will be Karl Malone.
For sure, because again, he's shooting from the outside. That's what they're doing now. You don't have a lot of power forwards that shooting from that could shoot from the outside back then, or at least weren't really allowed to, because that wasn't really in the formula of how it worked. You had a big man, you had a power forward that's basically was the rebounder and the defender and scoring where the dots is, but of course.
Yeah, so one player I think that's a center that would have probably killed all these centers today is Hakeem Olajuwon. The guy is official. You remember when he used to do this little part, and then like the center used to be at the other court?
Yeah.
I used to be like, man, because he used to serve Shaq. But that's one person that I think definitely who could have played in this era.
Yeah.
But I mentioned all those people because I had debates with them. They said that they couldn't play in these leagues. Now, Muzzy Bogues, I was kind of fiddling with, like I was straddling, because he's very short. You know what? It was two reasons why I felt like he could have played. One is being that they only shoot the ball nowadays. You know, so he won't really have to worry about getting drove on unless he playing the San Antonio Spurs. That'll be the game I sit him. When he played the Spurs, I sit him down, because that's all the plays that, you know, Popovich is going to run. Okay, whoever Muzzy Bogues is guarding, that's going to be the very person that gets the ball. You know what I'm saying? Because, okay, what if you are playing against a Popovich, you know what I'm saying, and you're not playing against a Warrior-type team, what's going to happen is they're going to keep, you know, putting you in positions, or they're going to have to run zone or something. They're going to keep putting you in a position to where you're getting scored on. And then if you get the man down low, if he missed the shot, he going to get it right back, because you got to jump 8 feet to get it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, but all the rest of them, I believe, could have played.
Listen, I don't think that they're saying they couldn't have played because, you know, they couldn't play the game. I think they're more or less talking about, you know, how touchy the calls are now. You know, you can't be aggressive as, you know, what we were back then. Like, you know, back then, they get in a fight, break it up, and you just go right back to playing basketball. That was what it was. Okay, maybe he elbowed him in the eye and he slapped him back, and maybe they fought for a second. But they didn't come back and start fighting again. You know, it was just something that happened. They responded to it, and, you know, they trying to win. The referees understood they was trying to win, and, you know, that's all it was. But like today, because of the new generation of how the mentality is of the young players, it's more is more street. So, you know, hey, if you do this to me, now it's like, forget about basketball right now. They're not thinking about, hey, I got $100 million contract. Hey, I got endorsements. hey, they ain't thinking like that because most of the younger generations grew up the way they did. Not everybody in the NBA grew up in the hood or grew up with a single parent family or anything like that. Not everybody grew up that way, but the mentality of the young players that's mostly coming in the league, which is mostly Afro-Americans or Europeans. So, we come in with a certain type of swag anyway, or like I said, a lot of them is coming in a little bit of street in them, just because, the music has changed today. Back then, when we was coming in, we had Snoop Dogg, but it wasn't really about so gangster back then.
Yeah, it wasn't killing.
It wasn't
much.
Yeah, as much.
Yeah.
Let me break it down to say that. But like now, you have the new generation. This new generation is a whole lot different from back then. So it's like when you slap me in the face, I forget all about now. Not me, but I'm talking about the new generation. They forget about that. I got a $100 million contract. I got a $100 million shoe contract. Nah, we taking this to the streets. If you really pay attention to, the younger guys today, that's what you're looking at. So when something happens, they forget about where they are and what they are about to throw away by doing something like that. And then when it happens, then it ends up sucking the air out of them with the punishment that they get. Now they understand when they're in the social media getting killed. And it's hard. Like when you see Durant, you try to stay quiet and not say nothing. But when you got people posting and saying things, and even with Carmelo, he was just trying to be quiet and ride the wave and just let it pass. But then I saw, like, not too long ago when he came and said, let me just come on, Steven, let me say something, because it's getting to be too much. Because, with the people with having access with the social media, they make their own, things, and then the analysts on the TV. So you feel like, no, let me get in between here. Hey, look, here I am. Here I am. Ask me whatever you want to ask me. Stop making up stuff. And and people believe, because it's on the internet, on TV, they believe it's true.
Right, exactly.
Because they think it's true.
And speaking of Melo, do you think he'll end up in the league?
I think he belongs in the league, man. He's way better than some of the players. He had the experience. He know mentally how to get to a point. But, like I said, he's human in the end of the day. When you got people on your shoulders, you feel like you got 10,000 elephants on your back. When you just try to be quiet, let it blow by, let me do some negotiating, let me, let me. But it's hard when you got the analysts on TV every day saying this, that, and it makes the team say, look, we don't want that much flack from the beginning, starting out. Yeah, and that's the only thing. Not because he can't play, but the media has built up so much rah that when he go to a team to try out, they saying, well, is it worth to bring all of this? Is it is it good for our younger players that's coming in with, they supposed to be starting out good, but then we got this big situation here that they're gonna have to deal with. And I think that teams just don't want to start out like that, because now, like I said, the West is crazy, with how much talent they got, so they don't want to get started off on the wrong foot. Because he can come in practice and miss 2 shots, and they'll say, oh man, you see, he's not. And that is as a human, I don't care how long you've been in the league, as a human, it's very hard to try to, you're trying to prove the fans wrong, and then you're trying to fit in with the team. That's so hard, I would think, to do, because he's trying to prove people he can, and then you got 1 or 2 superstars that maybe on a team that is their turn, but he's trying to prove to the fans and people that's watching that he still can play, and then the new superstars is here that's supposed to, continue to carry the torch. So that's not a good mix in starting off your season. So I think that's more or less why some of the teams don't want to take him, because a lot of these teams need him.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, he can play, man.
Carmelo, like you explained, is better than the majority of the NBA, right? And he, I at least thought that he deserved a farewell. And I go back to, the amount of money that he made the organizations. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. He hasn't been one of those players that was outspoken. He didn't downplay his organizations. He didn't break any guidelines. He wasn't in trouble or anything like that. It does him a disservice because he put in so much blood, sweat, and tears for an organization, hell branded, and for them to do him in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then get mad at players for having their own, thought process or own free will to go to other teams. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you want people to show you loyalty